Falcons Nation, sit down. Seriously, put the coffee down for a second, because right now, as this video goes live, there is a phone call happening or about to happen that could reshape the entire future of the Atlanta Falcons. Not next month, not next year, this week. It's a call between a quarterback and his doctor, and depending on what that doctor says, the Falcons either get their franchise savior back or they head into the 2026 season leaning on a veteran who just had the worst practice of his entire training camp. 4 straight bad throws. In the 2-minute drill, the one situation he was brought to Atlanta specifically to win. And as if that isn't enough drama for 1 week, the Falcons just added a 320-pound wrecking ball to the defensive line, and it turns out this signing isn't random at all. It's personal. It's a reunion. And once you hear the backstory, you're going to understand exactly why Atlanta made this move right now. 3 storylines. 1 franchise standing at a crossroads. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this single week in August might end up defining the entire Falcons season. Let's get into it, and if you're new here, do yourself a favor and hit subscribe because dirty birds don't miss stories like this one. Let's start in the trenches, because that's genuinely where this story begins, even if it's not the headline everybody's chasing. The Atlanta Falcons have signed defensive tackle Eric Johnson II, 6'4", 320 pounds, a mountain of a man who is about to walk into a building where somebody has already been waiting for him. Here's the part that should give you chills. This isn't some name the front office pulled off a scouting spreadsheet at random. This is a reunion, and reunions in the NFL almost never happen by accident. Back in 2022, Johnson was drafted in the 5th round by the Indianapolis Colts. That same year, a young defensive line coach named Nate Ollie was hired by Indy to develop exactly the kind of raw, physical talent Johnson represented. The two of them spent 2022 and 2023 in the same building, grinding together, building the kind of trust that doesn't show up in any stat sheet. And now, Nate Ollie is the Falcons' defensive line coach, and the player he helped shape from a 5th-round afterthought into a 4-year NFL veteran is walking right back into his room, ready to run it back in Atlanta. Since leaving Indianapolis, Johnson has been something of a football nomad. A stop in New England, a second stint back with the Colts, most recently a run with the Minnesota Vikings, 51 career games, 41 tackles, 1 sack. On paper, none of that screams superstar, and if you're just glancing at the box score, you'd be forgiven for shrugging this signing off entirely. But here's what the box score will never show you. It won't show you relationships. It won't show you a coach who already knows exactly which buttons to press to unlock this specific player, because he's already done it once before. This isn't a front office throwing bodies at a depth chart and hoping something sticks. This is a front office stacking trust. And in the trenches, trust is the one thing you simply cannot fake. So keep this name in your back pocket, Falcons Nation. Because if Eric Johnson starts flashing on that defensive line come late August, you're going to want to remember exactly where you heard it first. Now let's get to the story that has been sitting on every single Falcons fan's chest like a brick since the moment last season ended. Michael Penix Jr., out in Westfield, Indiana, about 90 miles from his old college campus at Indiana University. Penix spent this week running through quarterback drills, 7-on-7 work, and mental reps as the Falcons squared off with the Indianapolis Colts in joint practice. For a guy who has spent the better part of a year rehabbing a torn ankle, simply being out there running drills is a win in itself. But Falcons Nation, this trip to Indiana was about a whole lot more than football drills. And if you know Penix's story, you already feel the weight of it. This is the same young man who was supposed room could have scripted better. And then Penix said the words that should stop every single person scrolling through their feed right now. He said he's got to talk to his doctor, and that he knows that call is coming up soon. Talk to the doctor, see where he thinks Penix stands, see how he feels about everything, and then, in Penix's own words, they'll go from there. Read that again. That call is coming as the Falcons starter. Since then, the front office has been playing four-dimensional chess with the quarterback room. They brought in Tua Tagovailoa after his release from Miami. They added undrafted rookie arm Jack Strand. They signed veteran Cooper Rush just last month. Make no mistake, that is not a quarterback room built out of panic. That is a front office deliberately constructing a bridge, just in case Penix's road back to the field takes longer than any of us want it to. And compete, and it's good to be able to learn from the mistakes. That is not the language of a guy who's content sitting on a clipboard. That is the language of a starter counting down the days until he gets his job back. The doctor's call is coming. And when it does, it might just determine the entire trajectory of this franchise heading into the season. Now here's where things get genuinely uncomfortable, dirty birds. Because while Penix waits on that phone call, Tua Tagovailoa is running out of runway, and the clock is ticking a lot louder than anyone in Flowery Branch wants to admit. Tua was brought to Atlanta to be exactly that, the bridge. The steady veteran hand who could hold the fort down while Penix healed up on the sideline. Instead, training camp has been rough on him, and one particular day was the roughest of them all. His workout ended with 4 consecutive errant throws in a 2-minute drill, the exact drill designed to simulate the pressure-packed moments a franchise quarterback is paid millions of dollars to win. Tua's response to it? Measured, almost suspiciously measured given how loud that alarm bell should be ringing across Atlanta right now. He talked about being where you are in the moment, learning from what happened in practice, taking the good with the bad, and moving forward. Coach speak. Veteran poise. The kind of answer a 10-year pro gives without blinking. But poise doesn't complete 2-minute drills, Falcons Nation. And every single errant throw adds a little more pressure, not just onto Tua's shoulders, but onto the entire quarterback room as a unit. Because if Tua can't stabilize this offense during the month of August, that bridge plan gets shorter and shorter by the day. And suddenly, that doctor's call about Penix stops being purely a medical conversation. It becomes a conversation about who is actually leading this football team when the lights come on for real in Week 1. And here's the twist that makes this whole week even juicier. While the Falcons are wrestling with their own quarterback puzzle, the team standing directly across the practice field, the Indianapolis Colts, is fighting the exact same war, just with different names attached. Daniel Jones, coming back from a broken leg and a torn Achilles, has reportedly looked sharp and has been cleared with 0 limitations. Meanwhile, former first overall pick Anthony Richardson is scrapping just to hold on to his spot as the primary backup after a rocky preseason opener that included an interception and a lost fumble. 2 franchises sitting in adjoining practice fields in Indiana, both staring down serious uncertainty at the most important position in football, and both hurtling toward a preseason collision this Saturday. Riley Leonard is even expected to get the start for Indianapolis in that game. Falcons Nation, that Saturday matchup isn't just another meaningless preseason snap anymore. It's a referendum on 2 different quarterback rooms playing out in real time for anyone paying close enough attention. So let's connect every single piece of this puzzle, because none of these are separate, isolated headlines. This is one football team standing at a genuine fork in the road in 3 different ways at the same time. Down in the trenches, Atlanta just quietly reunited a coach and a player who already know exactly how to win together. It's the kind of low-key, calculated roster move that could end up paying off far louder than anybody currently expects, especially if Eric Johnson starts flashing the way Nate Ollie once helped him flash back in Indianapolis. At quarterback, Michael Penix Jr. is sitting one phone call away from a green light that could change absolutely everything about how this season unfolds, and by every account, he sounds like a man who is done waiting around. And right behind him, breathing down his neck whether he likes it or not, Tua Tagovailoa is fighting to prove that this offense doesn't need to wait at all. With every single errant throw cranking up the temperature in that quarterback room just a little bit more. This is exactly the kind of week that gets buried under the noise of August and then gets dug back up and remembered vividly come December, when the Falcons are either celebrating a franchise quarterback finally healthy and unleashed or still trying to figure out who their guy actually is. So don't look away now, Falcons Nation. This story is only getting started, and you do not want to miss the moment that Doctor's call becomes official. If this breakdown got you fired up, you already know exactly what to do. Smash that like button like your Sunday depends on it. Drop a comment right now and tell me who you trust more under center heading into Week 1, Penix or Tua. And hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're the very first to know the second that phone call is finalized and Michael Penix Jr.'s status is official. We rise and fall together, Falcons Nation. Go Falcons!